Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Thanks a lot for joining me. Today we're here to talk about what you don't know about Bitcoin, but probably should. So let's get started. Let's begin with the definition of Bitcoin, just for those who may not know already. So Bitcoin is a digital currency. It is on a decentralized system with transactions on a distributed ledger known as blockchain. How does this differ than other currencies that we use today, such as the US dollar or the British pound or the euro, for example? Those traditional currencies are known as fiat currencies, by the way. Now, what are fiat currencies? Let's back that up. So fiat currencies are government-issued currencies which are not pegged to any commodity or gold, for example. So what does that mean? So fiat currencies are issued by central banks and their supply is completely controlled by them, and it has nothing to do with how much gold is backing it up like we used to do it in the good old days. So fiat money gives central banks greater control over the economy because they can control how much money is printed and in circulation. Let's start with a quick little history on currency so we have an idea of where it started and where it is today. So first it started with metals, literally exchanging pieces of gold and silver in exchange for value as a store of value. At first, these metals were actually exchanged themselves, and eventually the receipts of these metals, known as banknotes, became as good as the gold they were referencing. So that became more convenient, right? Carrying a receipt versus actually carrying your weight in gold is a much easier transaction. Those two longest currencies that began this way were the British pound, originally from 1694, that was pegged to silver, and the US dollar, which originally started in 1792. So the British pound, one British pound used to be equivalent to 1 troy pound of sterling silver, and 1 US dollar was pegged to 24.75 grains of gold. Once the dependency on actually the physical gold or silver was removed, the modern economy uses printed banknotes itself as a form of value, known as fiat currencies backed by central governments. Now, biggest difference here that we know is Bitcoin is decentralized with no government backing, whereas fiat currencies are completely centralized with government backing. Fiat currencies, like the US dollar, could be printed ad infinitum, meaning there is no control on, theoretically, how much cash is in supply for the world to spend in the form of US dollars. In reality, that actually doesn't happen because there are many considerations that the US government has to take. So what are the goals for its monetary policy? And of course, avoiding things like having too much inflation too quickly. Bitcoin, however, is finite. In fact, it's written in its original code that no more than 21 million Bitcoin will be in circulation. And it's been built in that way, so who knows what's going to happen. We're already at 18.5 million Bitcoin that have been mined. Will the code be changed to allow for more in circulation? Who knows? Bitcoin transactions do not have the same fees like traditional transactions, such as there are no maintenance fees or overdraft fees. So when you park your cash into a bank account, it's very typical to have some kind of monthly maintenance fee, or if you overdraft, there's going to be some kind of penalty fee slapped on there. But since you're not holding your money in a bank account and the whole concept of decentralization is there for Bitcoin, those fees don't apply. So that is definitely a nice perk about Bitcoin versus in a traditional bank account. There is no one buying or selling your data in terms of your consumer spending behavior. So if an advertiser or a hedge fund, for example, is really interested in making an investment decision based on consumer spending behavior, what it can do is go out and buy these data points from banks who are selling it. So they'll take the behavior of, hey, consumer A has bought this much over this much time, and that's important information. Then it can be anonymized and sold in aggregate to someone like a hedge fund to make that investment decision. You can rest assured that for Bitcoin, there's no way to do this. So no one is benefiting from data acquired from spending habits, which is pretty cool. I think in today's modern world, if there is a free product or service that you're gaining, it is likely that you are the product or service, that you are the one that is sending something by way of your data to a provider who then can profit off of that data, and that is how they are able to offer you something for free. It's not quite free. So in Bitcoin, you are able to make a transaction without having to worry that your data is being sold or used in any way other than just to help you with the transaction that you're looking to get done. Lastly, before you jump on the Bitcoin train, there is one more consideration that you may not know of that's really, really important, and that is looking at if Bitcoin aligns with your values. For fiat currency, a central government has to print that money, whatever goes into actually printing cash. However, for Bitcoin, somebody had to mine that Bitcoin, and that is a process of verifying these transactions to make the whole ledger and the whole blockchain more secure. However, the mining process is computationally extremely demanding. It requires an enormous amount of energy and computing power to make that happen. And oftentimes that source of energy is actually fossil fuels. So yes, you could go out and buy a Tesla and think you're doing something great for the environment as it's an e-vehicle versus a traditional car that uses gasoline. But at the same time, you kind of have to realize that if the source of value that you're using to actually purchase it is hard for the environment, and are you really doing much, or are you doing everything you can to actually make the responsible choice? This is just to say that if you're going to buy a Tesla, probably buy it with traditional currencies and not so much with Bitcoin, at least not yet, and until they figured out how to mine more Bitcoin or how to get more in circulation without burdening the processing powers and using up fossil fuels to do so. All right, those are the few things that I think most people don't know about Bitcoin, but are really, really important to make the decision of whether you think that Bitcoin are for you, whether you want to store any of your savings into Bitcoin. All right, guys, all of the sources that I used for my points here are listed in the description box below. Let me know if you own any Bitcoin or partial Bitcoin. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.